If you like what we do and you want to support a channel, click the join button to become a member. For just £0.99 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee, you not only support ZONEofTECH, but you also get these really cool ZONEofTECH badges right next to your name that evolve the longer you've been a member for. And everyone can see the badges, including myself, which makes your comments stand out more from the rest. So thank you. Okay, so Samsung has just unveiled the Samsung Galaxy S20, the S20 Plus, and the ultimate beast, the S20 Ultra. Now, these phones are not out just yet, so they're coming out on March the 6th or March the 13th in the UK. Now, I have been to the launch event, and I've seen all of them and played with them for a bit, and we've done quite a number of videos on the S20 already. 40 things you probably didn't know, as well as comparisons like this one versus the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the Samsung Galaxy S10 from a year before. And in this one, I'll be comparing the S20 Ultra versus the Note 10 Plus, which was actually my favorite smartphone of 2019. Full review right here. Now, since the S20 Ultra isn't out just yet, we would be doing a more detailed comparison when it gets released. But until then, here's mostly a spec comparison and my impression with the S20 Ultra versus the Note 10 Plus. This video is split into 7 different sections, pretty long one, so we're covering the design, the display, the camera, the performance, special features, battery, and price. So yeah, get the snacks ready, some drinks, definitely go to the bathroom because like I said, it's going to be a long one, and enjoy. Okay, so starting off with the design, these are actually two very different phones. So the Note has this more squared off shape with fairly sharp edges that don't really feel comfortable in the hand, while the S20 Ultra is pretty much the opposite. So it has those rounded edges, just like the S10 from a year before, and it feels so much more comfortable. To be honest, I do prefer the way the Note 10 Plus looks more than the S20 Ultra, but the Note is definitely one of the least comfortable phones I've held in my hands for quite a few years now. So yeah, not the best feeling phone, but definitely one of the best looking phones. But anyway, both of these phones are essentially phablets, phones that are almost the exact same size as small tablets from a few years ago. And because of this, none of them are suitable for people that want a compact, easy to use, one-handed phone. But for everyone else that wants a phone with a massive display and a ton of features, both of these are perfect options. When it comes to the actual dimensions, the S20 Ultra is quite a bit bigger than the Note 10 Plus, which was already a gigantic phone. So the Ultra is 4.6 centimeters taller than the Note 10 Plus, 1.2 centimeters less wide. So yeah, fun fact, the Ultra is actually way more comfortable in the hand than the Note 10 Plus was, also because of this. But it is unfortunately thicker and heavier. The S20 Ultra is now 8.8 millimeters thick versus 7.9 millimeters of the Note 10 Plus, and it is also 222 grams versus 196 grams of the Note 10 Plus. However, when holding the Ultra in my hand, I noticed that I was actually touching that massive camera module every single time I was holding my phone, which made it feel even thicker, as that module itself, that alone, is 2 to 3 times thicker than the entire thickness of the camera module on the Note 10 Plus. That means that if you add a case to it, to even out that camera module, the S20 Ultra will be close to 1 centimeter in thickness, making it essentially a brick of a phone. But you'll see why this might actually be worth it. Also, because of that module, there is a ton of wobble on a flat surface. So if you're the kind of person that uses their phone sitting flat on a table, well, that's pretty difficult to do on the Ultra, unless of course you get a case, which will make your phone extremely thick. On the back, we have Gorilla Glass 6 on both, and a polished aluminum frame as opposed to a stainless steel frame like we get on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, for example, and the 11 Pro. Both have the camera module to the left, but like I said before, the Ultra just has an insanely big camera module, which I'll be covering more in the camera section of this video. And speaking of covering stuff, we have you covered in case you're looking for a pair of Galaxy Buds Plus, because we're actually doing a giveaway. So if you want to participate in the Galaxy Buds Plus giveaway, simply be a subscriber of the channel, then follow on Instagram at ZONEofTECH, and then leave a comment on this video with your Instagram handle and also which color of the Galaxy Buds Plus do you guys want to win. And the winner will be announced on Instagram via story and DM on March the 12th. So yeah, good luck to everyone. Moving on to the display, while the display panel technology is exactly the same, which means that we have exactly the same brightness levels, the same color reproduction, the Ultra does have some pretty massive display upgrades. The first one being the size. So we now have an even bigger 6.9-inch display on the Ultra versus the already massive 6.8-inch display on the Note 10 Plus. Second, the display is also higher resolution, so 3200 by 1440 versus 3040 by 1440, which actually gives us a PPI, a slightly higher one of 511 versus 498. Third, we also have a taller aspect ratio now of 20 by 9 versus 19 by 9 on the Note 10 Plus. So this means that while we will indeed have bigger black bars when watching videos on YouTube, we do have more vertical screen space to play with, which is always welcome. Then number 4, and this is by far the biggest change, and that is the refresh rate. So on the Note 10 Plus, we had a more standard 60Hz refresh rate panel, which meant that the content that you were watching was being shown at up to 60 frames per second. The S20 Ultra, on the other hand, has doubled the refresh rate to 120 Hz. So this means that all the animations and pretty much anything that you see on the screen would be twice more fluid than on the Note 10 Plus. And this is actually a massive, massive upgrade, because the Ultra now feels even more fluid than the OnePlus 7T Pro or the Pixel 4, which is a pretty unexpected thing to say about a Samsung phone. Unfortunately, the 120Hz refresh rate panel only works at 1080p resolution as of right now, which will be a bit blurry on the display. So I'm really hoping that Samsung releases an update to fix this issue, because at the moment you cannot have both 120Hz and a sharp display. And finally, the fifth improvement in terms of the display is that the front-facing camera module, the in-display cutout itself, is now a bit smaller than on the Ultra, which gives you even more screen real estate to play with, which is also improved by the extra reduction in the top and bottom bezels. Now, interesting enough, the side bezels actually got a bit thicker with the Ultra, and that's because the Ultra no longer has a curved display. So we pretty much have a flat 2.5D display this time, just like on the iPhone and the Pixel, which does indeed help prevent accidental touches, which is great. But it also makes the Ultra maybe look a bit inferior design-wise to the Note 10 Plus. Let me know in the comments if you guys think that the S20 Ultra from the front looks inferior to the Note 10 Plus, because I think it does. Okay, moving on to the camera, this is where the real changes are. So the Note 10 Plus comes with 3 camera modules on the back. The main module is a 12 megapixel f1.5 to f2.4 variable aperture module with 1.4 micron size pixels. Now, while the camera was good, it still uses the exact same specs as the Galaxy S7 from back in 2016. Fun fact. The S20 Ultra, however, has a brand new sensor, a 108 megapixel sensor, yes, 9 times the resolution of the Note 10 Plus sensor, with a fixed 1.8 aperture this time. Now, the more pixels you have in a sensor, the smaller they will actually be. And since we have 108 million pixels versus 12 million pixels on the Note 10 Plus, the pixels on the S20 Ultra are only 0.8 microns in size, or 1.75 times smaller than on the Note 10 Plus. Add this to the smaller f1.8 aperture versus the f1.5 on the Note, and the Ultra should be significantly worse in low light than the Note 10 Plus was. However, Samsung is claiming that they're doing something quite interesting, so they're using something called node binning, where they're actually combining 9 pixels into one to give you a significantly improved low light performance. Now, I'm not fully sure how this will work just yet, so you'll have to wait and see our in-depth blind camera test comparison, so definitely subscribe and notifications so that you get notified whenever that video comes out. But until then, I would take all of this with a grain of salt. Now, the big improvement on the S20 Ultra is actually in terms of the telephoto or the zoom module. So the Note 10 Plus had a 12 megapixel f2.1 zoom module with 1 micron size pixels, which offered us 2 times optical zoom and 10 times digital zoom. The S20 Ultra, on the other hand, has a 48 megapixel f3.5 module with 0.8 micron size pixels. Not only that, but this module is actually a periscope module, meaning that it actually comes with a lot of lenses that would normally stick out from the phone. And in order to avoid this, the array is actually sitting on its side. And then there's a mirror capturing all the light and reflecting it into the sensor, pretty much the exact same way in which a periscope on full-sized submarine works. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. And thanks to this, we get 3 times optical zoom, 10 times hybrid zoom, which is a combination of optical and that massive 48 megapixel resolution sensor. And we also get 100x digital zoom. Now, that's insane. Like, really, the amount of zoom that you can achieve with the Ultra is just ridiculous. So, while the zoom module on the Ultra is worse in low light than on the Note 10 Plus's module, it has a significantly higher amount of zoom. And finally, the third module is a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide angle module, which is actually lower resolution than the 16 megapixel f2.2 ultra-wide module on the Note 10 Plus. However, this does mean that the pixels are now larger, 1.4 microns versus 1 micron, which does mean that the S20 Ultra will actually be better in low light when using that ultra-wide angle module. Now, on top of this, we do have the same time-of-flight sensors on the S20 Ultra that we had on the Note 10 Plus. which are used for AR and improving portrait mode photography. But unfortunately, same as with the Note 10 Plus, we do lose the heart rate monitor sensor and the oxygen level meter that we had on the S10 in 2019. We also get a pretty big jump in terms of video quality, which is now up to 8K 24 frames per second from 4K 60 that we had on the Note 10 Plus, and then on the front we can now shoot in 4K 60 from 4K 30. Now, speaking of the front-facing camera, we now have a 40 megapixel f2.2 module versus the 10 megapixel f2.2 module on the Note 10 Plus. And while this does look to severely impact the light performance on the S20 Ultra because of, the really small pixels, Samsung did mention, again, that they're using that pixel binning technology on the front-facing camera as well, essentially combining 4 pixels this time into one in order to achieve a much better low light performance. Once again, keep an eye for our ultimate blind camera test, as we would be doing another extremely detailed comparison with close to 30 individual test categories. Yeah, similar to the ones we've done before. Moving on to the performance, the S20 Ultra now comes with a Snapdragon 865 for US and Canada, and Samsung's very own Exynos 990 for the international market. The Note 10 Plus comes with last year's Snapdragon 855 and the Exynos 9825. Now, in terms of difference in actual performance, the 865 is now 31% faster multi-core-wise than the 855 was, while the Exynos 990 is now 27% faster than the Exynos 9825. RAM-wise, we get 12GB standard on both the Note 10 Plus and the S20 Ultra. However, if you buy the high-end storage option for the S20 Ultra, you actually get 16GB of RAM, which is absolutely unbelievable on a smartphone. Like, I can bet that that's probably more than most of you have in your laptops, which is insane. I personally had zero RAM management issues with my Note 10 Plus, so even a 12GB model is more than enough. Oh, and speaking of storage, they both have UFS 3.0 storage compared to UFS 2.1 on the Galaxy S10, which gives you double the read and write speeds of the UFS 2.1 that the Galaxy S10 had. So we're now getting over 1GB per second read speeds, which is pretty awesome. The Note 10 Plus comes with 256GB and 512GB of storage, while the S20 Ultra comes in 128 and 512. So the baseline storage is unfortunately half on the Ultra compared to what we got on the Note 10 Plus. But the good news is that they both feature a microSD card slot for expanding the storage even further to up to 1.5 terabytes of storage, which is just nuts. Okay, now when it comes to special features and unique features, the Note 10 Plus pretty much takes the crown here, thanks to the S Pen. The S Pen is really what makes the Note a Note. Being able to take the stylus out whenever you want, being able to scribble some notes, some design ideas, sign a document, make a drawing, having the S Pen at hand is incredibly useful, for some people at least. I didn't really find myself using the S Pen that much. I've used it mostly when editing photos on my notes. Having the S Pen at hand for Lightroom was so incredibly useful because it's so much more precise than a finger. But yeah, that was mostly it. Unfortunately, Samsung Notes, the app that takes full use of the S Pen, it doesn't have cloud or cross-platform support. So unless you have another Samsung phone, you won't be able to view or edit your notes on a different device, which really sucks. So while the S Pen might be a crucial feature for some people, unfortunately it isn't one for me. Okay, what else? Well, we do get 5G, or even millimeter wave 5G to be more precise, with the S20 Ultra by default. With the Note 10 Plus, you need to buy the 5G variant. If you're on 5G, as by default, this thing is 4G only. Water resistance is the same on both, so 1.5 meters up to 30 minutes, and they both lack a headphone jack now. So yeah, rest in peace, Jack. You'll be missed, or maybe not. It depends. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of special and unique features on both of these phones. But luckily, when it comes to the battery, we are getting some pretty nice improvements. So the battery is increased to 5,000 mAh from 4,300 on the Note 10 Plus. And while this might seem like a gigantic leap in battery life, well, this was mostly done because of 5G, that 120Hz panel, both of which, need quite a lot of juice. So the battery life should be similar on both. It obviously depends on if you're using that 120Hz panel or not. Now, when it comes to fast charging, it's pretty much the same on both, so 45 watts. However, you do need to buy a separate charger because by default, with the charger that you get in the box, that one is 25 watts. They both have reverse wireless charging and fast charging up to 15 watts. And finally, when it comes to the price, the Note 10 Plus launched at $1,100 or £1,000 in the UK, and this is for the 256GB version. The S20 Ultra, however, is significantly more expensive at $1,400 or £1,200 for the 128GB model. Now, you do get 5G at this price point, whereas the Note 10 Plus is 4G only, with a 5G model costing $1,300 or £1,100. Okay, so in the end, is the S20 Ultra worth it over the Note 10 Plus? And that actually depends. If you need that 120Hz display, well, that's gonna feel extremely fast on the S20 Ultra, so that's gonna make a big difference. The camera is also way better at zooming than the Note 10 Plus. However, we don't really know how good it will actually be in low light when compared to the Note 10 Plus. So if 5G, 120Hz, and that insane level of zoom on the camera are important features for you, then yes, the S20 Ultra is a good upgrade. Otherwise, if you're more like a business person and you need the S Pen, then sorry, the Note 10 Plus is the best option for you. If you also need those camera upgrades, then I would suggest waiting for the Note 10, the Note 20 Plus or the Note 20 Ultra, which will be launching in August. And that's rumored to have exactly the same features on the camera as the S20 Ultra, so definitely wait for that. But yeah, other than that, there you go. For me at least, camera is the #1 feature in my case, so the S20 Ultra will be my choice. However, I will surely miss the S Pen in some occasions, such as editing photos in Lightroom. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments which one would you pick and why. Hashtag Team Galaxy Note or hashtag Team Galaxy S. Definitely become a member of the channel if you want to support the channel and what we do, and you'll also get some really cool badges that evolve the longer you've been a member for next to your name. So those are pretty awesome, and you're also supporting the channel. And if you want to see more in-depth videos like this one hopefully was, then definitely subscribe and enable notifications by hitting that bell icon. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH signing out. Cheers.